Hi, my name is JT Harker, one half of the Bash Brothers. I'm songwriter, singer, rapper, marathon runner, triathlete, chef. I make cupcakes. I'm pretty well known for my cupcakes. But my role in the Bash Brothers is mainly as a songwriter, vocal production, and also doing a lot of the singing a lot of the references and the demos that we need for the male vocals. But that's my role with Bash Bro Music. I would say the toughest part nowadays is thinking of, the big thing nowadays is the top line. There have always been top lines, but when you listen to music from a decade ago, 2 decades ago, 3, I don't think an actual top line was as important as the concept. And I think top lines has become, one, a big part of what people look for in the music industry, but two, something that people have been trained now, listening to the radio and that sort of thing, to look for as a listener when they listen to music, when they listen to songs. And then also, if you're a top line writer, you typically are going to make more money than a writer that's mainly writing verse lyrics. The top line has become the big part of a song. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but now when I'm writing, I take a much different mindset. Like, is the top line strong enough? If the top line's not strong enough, it doesn't matter how good the rest of the song is. For the most part, and there are songs that are the exception even nowadays, but thinking of top lines when there have been so many songs written at this point and not trying to do something that's already been done or that is really recognizable as being done, I'd say that's the biggest challenge. Because lyrics and melody at this point, I like to think I've become pretty good at hearing those things and knowing they're good to go. But top line, man, you got to have the dope top lines. What would make me stand out against some of the top writers out there right now? I guess one thing I've learned by reading and learning from a lot of those top line writers, and even just listening to those top line writers' musics, and their music and their songs and their top lines and whatever they're doing, is a lot of them become the big time top line writers and the big time writers in the business because The Dream, Esther Dean, Ryan Tedder, a lot of these big time writers, they came in with a sound that we hadn't heard done like that. Not that they maybe didn't necessarily create a whole new sound, but they created enough of a new sound that we had heard something like it before, but they brought a different spin on it. And I'd say that's the biggest thing you learn is, I was writing a long time, and Ryan Tedder was one of my heroes, and I was writing a lot of stuff that was really good, but it was very Ryan Tedder. And I'm like, all right, well, you can still do that and take that approach on some of your songs, but you've got to have your own voice, you've got to have your own style, and the only way you're going to do it is by recognizing that you've learned how your predecessors do things. Now, take that, forget it, because you're never going to forget it, but then, okay, just work, just be creative, just be yourself, because by being yourself is the only way you're going to separate. You can only emulate for so long before you're just copying people. I grew up a writer, like writing poetry, writing short stories. I always loved music from early on. I mean, my influences would go back forever, but like from early on being into, I remember the Beach Boys being like the first music I was really into. My parents' CDs and my parents' cassette tapes. The Beach Boys, the Beatles, Elvis, Buddy Holly, got into Motown, became a huge Michael Jackson fan, Jackson 5, The Temptations. I mean, just being around music all growing up and always having this desire to do it, but I was an athlete and that's what I was focused on, so music was always kind of just something that I always thought would be fun. And once, I'm 18, 19 years old, 5'10", junior college basketball player, and I'm like, all right, it's, hurt my knee. I'm like, why don't I figure out something else to pursue? Because I'm probably not going to be a pro basketball player as a 5'10", shooting guard. So music, and as soon as I tried it, it just became like a passion. Like, it went from something I really enjoyed and I had a passion for as a listener to something I had a passion for as a writer, and wanted to just see what I could do and what I could create, and you know, is something I became really, really serious about. And from then on, it's been, you know, an 11, 12-year struggle finding my voice, finding, you know, you see a lot of people have been doing music their whole lives. By the time they're 18, they already know who they are as an artist, who they are as a writer, and they'll always get better, but they're already there. Like, I didn't have that luxury. I had to start late as an adult, and then had also becoming a parent soon after that, and really had to try to navigate a business and an art form. You know, it's been tough. It's been tough, but when you really know you want to do something and you know that you were put on this earth to do it, you just do it. You just get it done. And yeah, getting your foot in the door in the music business, which I would say at this point we can honestly say we've got our foot in a door. I wouldn't say we have our foot in the door that we necessarily want yet, but we're definitely, we've made some big steps. But for me, which I would think is the case with a lot of people, you know, getting your foot in the door and knowing every day that you've got to get something done and keeping that motivation and that drive towards your goal. My motivation, for me personally, one is my kids, because once I became a dad, my work ethic changed overnight. Because now you don't have the luxury of being like, oh, I can sit on the couch, watch TV, go to my job, go and, you know, have drinks and, you know, chase girls and still have 4 or 5 hours to put into music, which usually you won't if you do that. Even you may have had 5 hours to do it, but your focus is on other things. You're a dad now. It's like, all right, if I don't put this hour and a half into my career today, it's not gonna. I don't have the luxury of doing it, you know, later on in the day, and I probably won't have I could possibly not have the luxury of doing it for the next 3 days. So every little extra minute you get is so valuable. Your kids are motivation. My dad was a very successful businessman, and you know, we don't speak anymore, and that's a huge drive for me because I want to go and be successful like my dad, especially because we don't have a relationship anymore. Like, that drives me every day. That's a huge one for me, is like if we haven't spoken for, you know, 5 years, like, I want him to see me somehow and be like, wow, he really, you know, he really made it happen. And my dad's first comment to me when I told him I was going to pursue music was, you're never going to make a dime in the music industry, which at this point I've already proven him wrong because I've made money in the industry. Haven't made the big money I want yet, but, like, you know, already proven him wrong, taking baby steps. But, like, that's a huge drive for me.